Last time on Mining with Cody.
I found fossils and crystals in the Appalachian Mountains.
They're covered in fossils.
Now I'm going on an adventure, digging deep into this mountain's incredible importance in American and world history. From the foods we eat to building our cities, fighting wars, and finding new worlds.
And it's all because of this on this episode of Mining with Cody.
I got a ghost story for you guys. Back in the 1700s, the townspeople saw a ghost light on the mountain above the town. One night, 3 men volunteered to climb the mountain and see what it was. They climbed to the top and found a light hovering above 2 boulders. As they approached, the light was disappearing. To investigate, they dug up the spot. 6 feet under, they found the grave of Captain Jack Anderson, the wild hunter of the Juniata.
Today, the people of Mapleton still call this mountain Jack's Mountain. Cut in two by the Juniata River, Jack's Mountain spans 4 counties. It's over 2,300 feet tall at its peak and lies in the middle of the curve in Pennsylvania's Appalachian Mountains. The fossil stream from last episode flows off the southern face just north of Mount Union. My adventure begins back on the bank of that stream where I found this. A little research on star brick led me to Chris, just down the street in Mount Union.
As we were mining for fossils, we found this brick along the stream that we were mining in. Can you tell us if this brick was made from the factory or not?
Yes, it was. The star name here indicates that it was a brick that was manufactured on the property. Harbison Walker was the largest of 3 brickyards in Mount Union, and we became the silica brick capital of the world. I know back in 1908 they were manufacturing 166,000 brick a day, but being it has the star name, was probably one of the largest volume manufactured bricks that they made here. And you can see each brick had a different number, but they made it 1,000 different shapes and sizes for the steel mill industry primarily.
Refractory or silica bricks keep the heat of the melted steel from melting everything around it, just like high temperature insulation. Andrew Carnegie and US Steel made the Harbison Walker silica brick in their factories. Cause you can't melt steel with steel. Cause steel will melt.
Can you tell us about the mining operation and how the rock got down to here?
So all the rock that was used to manufacture the silica brick was called Ganister rock. And if you come by our area, it's littered everywhere. The whole mountain is made up of Ganister rock.
Jack's Mountain Ganister, or Tuscarora quartzite, is 98% silica, some of the purest in the country, perfect for a refractory brick.
They mined the Ganister rock, and I say mined, it wasn't really mined. They more or less just picked it up and put it on incline cars and lowered the cars down to the bottom of the mountain. And there was a steam locomotive that picked up the cars of Ganister rock.
This is the Dinky House. This is where they repaired all the trains that took the Ganister to the factory.
They had big crushers, and they would crush it down to the material that they used to make the brick. Different sizes of them in different molds.
On St. Patrick's Day, 1936, the work at Harbison Walker stopped.
The first bridge that went across the Juniata River was taken out by the flood of 36.
And while the bridge was being rebuilt, they made this. Over 1,000 steps. Let's do this. Up Jack's Mountain to the quarry at the top. Step 500, we're halfway there.
The men walked to work from Mount Union. They walked up the 1,000 steps.
Think about how you get to school work. These workers had to walk over a mile from Mount Union to climb 1,000 steps and work all day.
You wonder who can handle this every day.
Considering this well-used Harbison Walker mining helmet doesn't fit their man, but fits me perfectly.
Must have been the youth size.
Finally made it. We made it up to the Harbison Walker quarry. This is the pure silica gangster that they mined.
These freshly fallen boulders are covered with pure silica, quartz crystals. Boulders like these are where the crystals in our fossil stream are coming from. An old drill hole for blasting is all that marks this once great silica quarry.
I have bricks that were manufactured here that say made in USA. This was a stencil, metal stencil that went on the side of the skid, but I have some that were shipped to Rio de Janeiro. That's how famous the bricks from Mount Union Brickyard were, shipped all over the world.
But there was another company just across the river, making its own impact on the world with silica. World War I was raging in Europe, and the Etna Explosives Company was producing 75% of the gunpowder TNT and picric acid used by the Allied powers. Inventor Alfred Nobel discovered that silica in the form of diatomaceous earth will stabilize TNT and make it safer.
Diatomaceous Earth is a backbone of billions of dead diatoms, which are single-celled organisms like algae. Ew, this nasty stuff is the world's only living silica makers.
Diatoms are the only life forms on Earth that form porous silica walls around themselves, which makes them perfect sponges for stabilizing TNT. All aquatic life depends on diatoms, and humans use them in our food too.
This is made out of silica. This is made out of silica. And yeah, that's made out of silica.
Jack's Mountain has been above and below water throughout history, but there aren't any viable diatomaceous earth deposits here. Etna knew that acid can modify the crystalline silica of Jack's Mountain and change into porous silica needed for the TNT used to win World War I.
After 100 years, the brick is still in the town's blood.
Mount Union silica bricks and TNT are cornerstones of world history. But Jack's Mountain silica is so much more important to American life. So my adventure continues with the silica experts on the other side of Jack's Mountain.
We've come to U.S. Silica Keystone Plant, just on the other side of Jack's Mountain from Mountain Union, to learn about their silica. I'm here with Francis. I'm in one of the big dump trucks.
This here is the Oriskany sandstone that U.S. Silica mines. It's 98% pure silica.
That's just like the gangster that Harbison Walker mined.
This near vertical strip of sandstone wasn't always vertical. When it was deposited, it was horizontal and under the Kaskaskia Sea. As the mountains formed, they pushed out the water, leaving the sand, and something I didn't expect.
Oriskany sandstone is filled with Devonian-era fossils. Rocks just like these are where our fossils in our stream are coming from.
Getting to play in the big boy sandbox is amazing. But there's so much more.
We're headed back to the office to talk more about the silica products.
I was wondering if you could tell me about this.
Oh, yeah, sure. Oh, that's really cool. This is a miniature replica of the world's largest piece of man-made glass. Corning made it It's a reflective disc that was 200 inches, made for the space telescope in Mount Palomar.
The glass disc for the mirror, after repeated tests and failures, was finally cast to Pyrex glass in a special furnace of the Corning Glass Works in New York State.
The largest and most expensive piece of glass ever created by man, weighing over 20 tons, it took over a year to cool when it was poured.
Back in the 1930s, this plant supplied the silica to Corning to make the Pyrex disc.
From this vantage point, the diaphragm may be seen as it opens and reveals the mirror with its brilliant aluminum coating, reflecting and concentrating the brightness of a noonday sky. The telescope now turns toward a certain portion of the heavens, and its great reflector looks upwards with the light-gathering power of 1,000,000 human eyes.
The 200-inch Hale telescope at the Mount Palomar Observatory has revealed more of our universe than anything that came before it.
In fact, Pyrex and Corning's cookware has always been made from silica at this plant right here on Jack's Mountain.
Wow, that's amazing. Americans all across the country cook with Pyrex every day.
Corning has produced over 750 million pieces of cookware. Chances are your next holiday dinner will use one of them.
4, 3, 2, 1. All engine running. It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Corning also developed a few silica windows for every manned American spaceflight, from the Apollo spacecraft all the way to the space shuttle.
0 and liftoff, the final liftoff of Atlantis.
Well, that's not all. Our silica has also been used to make the glass in the Freedom Tower in New York City.
That's really cool.
We're gonna take this sand and make some brick. I'm back at the fossil stream. I'm gonna make a Jack's Mountain Silica brick. My first ingredient is Jack's Mountain clay. Now I'm gonna put this in the mixing bowl. My second ingredient is the finest sand in the world, Jack's Mountain Silica. My next ingredient is Jack's Mountain water. Then we mix it all up. Now it's ready to be put in a mold. Now I can put the mold in the sun so it can dry. Perfect. Now it's time to make it a Jack's Mountain brick. Americans all across the country have touched Jack's Mountain without even setting foot on it. From how we make our food to the glass we look through and the mirror that show us things we've never seen. I hope you've enjoyed the journey. If you have, hit like or subscribe, and I'll see you next time on Mining with Cody. Here at the Harbison Walker Factory, we're digging the stream to see if there's any fossils. It's snowing, but we just found our first fossil here at the Harbison Walker Factory in the stream. And it's also covered in crinoids. We found some more fossils, we know they're here, now let's go get one.